The secret isn't in words, it's in state. Women fall not for you, but for who they feel they become with you. Tony Robbins. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just be kind, just be yourself, and the right woman will love you. That's a beautiful idea, and also one of the biggest lies ever sold to men. Let me tell you something that no therapist, no relationship coach, and no best-selling author wants to admit. Women don't fall for your kindness. They don't crave your attention, your good intentions, or your long texts at night. They crave something far more dangerous. And unless you understand what that is, you'll keep wondering why she pulls away every time you try to come closer. If you're a man who's done everything right, you supported her, respected her, gave her space, talked about feelings, and still ended up alone, invisible, or in the friend zone, you're not broken. You've just been fed the wrong playbook. Here's the truth. A woman doesn't want to feel safe the way men think. She wants to feel alive. She wants to stand in front of a man and feel his energy wrap around her spine like a silent thunder. She wants to be seen without being asked to perform. She wants to surrender, but only to someone who knows how to hold that surrender without needing it. That's the paradox. You were trained to please, to be gentle, to never offend. You learned to suppress your rawness, your edges, your darkness, because they told you that's toxic. But here's the part they don't tell you. It's the very energy you've hidden that actually makes her body react. Her voice soften, her walls melt. Not violence, not arrogance, not control, but presence. That rare, grounded, unapologetic presence of a man who doesn't chase her because he's not missing anything in himself. Women don't want perfection. They don't even want certainty. They want to feel the fire that burns under your silence, the storm that you don't show but carry like a weapon inside your calm. And the moment she senses that, her mind may resist, but her body remembers. Remember this: attraction is not something you create. It's something you allow. And to allow it, you must stop performing. You must stop being the nice guy version of yourself. You must become the man she can't figure out because he's too real to explain. She doesn't want a script. She wants a signal. And if you don't emit that signal, no matter how much you try, her desire will never fully land on you. That's not your fault. You were taught the wrong language. You were told that desire is about effort, logic, compatibility, but it's not. Desire is raw, primitive, and rooted in how you carry yourself when nothing needs to be said. This is the truth no one wants to admit. Your behavior doesn't matter if your energy is off. You can say all the right things, bring flowers, listen deeply, and still be completely invisible to her body. Because her body isn't listening to your words. It's listening to your nervous system, to your spine, to your tone, to your stillness, to whether you're trying to get her or if you're already enough. So before we talk about what to do, you need to get brutally honest about who you've been. Have you been acting like a man who already knows his worth, or like a boy asking for approval in a deeper voice? This might sting, but it's the only door. You can either keep doing everything right and stay invisible, or start showing up real, raw, and grounded, and watch her body respond before her mind can explain why. And that's just the beginning. Here's what most men never get. Women don't fall for who you are. They fall for how they feel around you. That feeling is not about what you say. It's not about the gifts or the compliments. It's about what your presence triggers inside her, even when you're silent. And no book will teach you this. No therapist will explain it. And no motivational coach dares to speak it, because most of them have never lived it. But I have. I've watched the same women who ignored one man melt completely in front of another, even though he barely spoke. Why? Because he knew the code, the unspoken language of presence, energy, polarity, and now you will too. The first code is simple but deadly effective. Never chase her attention. The more you chase, the more she runs. Because chasing tells her you're not the prize. She is. And the moment she feels that, the energy collapses. Attraction dies not because you're not enough, but because you made her your center. A woman doesn't want to be your oxygen. She wants to orbit your gravity. Let her feel that you want her, but don't need her. That subtle difference is everything. The man who can walk away holds more power than the one trying to prove his worth. Second, slow down your rhythm. Speak less. Move less. Hold eye contact a little longer than is comfortable. Let her feel the weight of your presence. Most men overtalk, overcompensate, overexpress, and kill the tension before it even starts. But if you can create a pause, a space, a moment of, "What's he thinking?" she'll lean in. Tension is the birthplace of desire. Kill the tension, kill the pull. Slow down so she can speed up inside. Third, never explain yourself emotionally. You're not there to prove how good you are. You're not there to validate your intentions. You're there to offer her a mirror, a space where she can feel more of herself. Women don't crave emotional openness the way men think. They crave resonance, and that comes from your groundedness, your containment, your ability to feel without collapsing. So when she tests you, when she challenges you, when she pulls away, don't panic. That's not rejection. That's attraction checking if it's safe to surrender. If these words speak to something inside you, subscribe to this channel, not because it's a trend, but because this truth must reach more men who are tired of being invisible. And if you want the raw, unfiltered content that platforms won't allow, get in the Telegram. That's where we go deeper, where we stop pretending, where we rebuild men who don't ask for permission to exist. This is not about being toxic. This is not about being manipulative. This is about remembering who the hell you are. Before the world told you to behave, please, and apologize for your masculinity. You are not here to be soft. You are here to be real. And from that place, women don't just notice, they surrender. Most men try to attract women by doing more. More compliments, more gestures, more availability. But desire doesn't work like that. Desire doesn't bloom in comfort. It grows in tension, in polarity, in the space between certainty and mystery. And that space, most men are terrified to enter. They want guarantees, but women don't want guarantees. They want to feel, not think, not plan, feel. And to make her feel, you must stop managing her responses and start managing your presence. The first shift is this: stop performing safety. Real safety doesn't come from soft words and constant reassurance. It comes from your nervous system, from your ability to stay rooted in yourself when her emotions rise. When she's chaotic, uncertain, unpredictable, can you stay still inside? Can you hold your ground without trying to fix her? Because that's when her body starts to relax into you. When she feels you are not shaken by her waves, she starts to trust the ocean inside herself. That trust creates arousal. Not the safety of a nice guy, but the safety of a storm-proof man. Second, understand the role of tension. Women are aroused by contrast. The space between your silence and your gaze. The way you hold eye contact and say nothing, yet everything is said. When you walk into a room and speak with your body, your pace, your groundedness, that's what makes her pulse shift. Not the words, not the compliments, but the way you command space without needing permission. That kind of man lives in his body, and that's what she responds to. even if she doesn't know why. Third, never collapse into explanation. You don't need to justify why you said no, or why you set a boundary, or why you won't tolerate disrespect. A woman will test you, not because she's cruel, but because she needs to feel your edges. That's how she knows she can trust you. Most men crumble under these tests, thinking they're failing. No, these moments are invitations. Show her you can stand in discomfort. Show her your spine, not through anger, not through control, but through quiet certainty. This is where most men lose her, not because they weren't good enough, but because they couldn't hold the heat of her truth, her fire, her unpredictability. Women don't want a man who controls them. They want a man who can hold them, fully, fiercely, without fear. You become that man, not through strategies, but through embodiment, through practice, through remembering that your presence is more seductive than any line you could say. This isn't game, this is gravity. Let me say something most men are afraid to admit. Being a good man never made a woman wet. Being emotionally available, attentive, generous, these things make you likable, even lovable, but not necessarily desirable. Because desire isn't about your kindness, it's about your energy. And the man who confuses emotional connection with sexual polarity ends up becoming her therapist, her best friend, her supporter, but never the one she craves in silence. That's the brutal truth. And the sooner you face it, the faster you reclaim your power. You've been conditioned to believe that if you just become emotionally safe enough, vulnerable enough, respectful enough, she'll finally want you. But you've seen it. That's not how it works. She tells you you're amazing, that you're the kind of man every woman dreams of, and yet she disappears, pulls back, or tells you, "I just don't feel that way." Why? Because she felt your need, your emotional dependence, your desire to be validated through her reaction. That's not safety, that's pressure, and nothing kills arousal faster than emotional pressure. Here's the paradox. A woman wants to feel your heart, but only when it's rooted in your spine, when it comes from strength, not from longing. If your vulnerability comes wrapped in expectation, she'll recoil. But if it comes from wholeness, from a place where you don't need her to hold it, she'll melt, because that's rare, that's real, that's presence without performance. Let's break this down with clarity. First, stop over-expressing your emotions. Feel everything, but don't make her responsible for holding it. She is not your healer. She is not your savior. She is not here to soothe the boy inside you. She is here to feel the man you've become by facing your own storms. When you can stand in front of her with your sadness, your anger, your fear, and not ask her to fix it, that's power. Second, watch how often you seek her approval through over-explaining. If you say something and instantly follow it with, "I didn't mean it that way," or "I just want you to know I care," or "Please don't misunderstand me, you're leaking." That's nervous energy. That's insecurity talking. She doesn't need your disclaimers. She needs your clarity, your edge, your unapologetic presence. Say what you mean, then stop talking. Third, reclaim your own attention. Stop obsessing over whether she's replying, whether she's pulling back, whether she's still into you. That obsession makes you forget yourself. And nothing is more repelling than a man who abandons himself in pursuit of a woman. Bring the focus back to your breath, your walk, your life. That shift alone can awaken more desire in her than 1,000 messages ever could. Stop giving her your center, become it. If you want a woman to think about you when you're not around, to feel that quiet ache in her body just from remembering your presence, then understand this. Attraction has almost nothing to do with what you say, and everything to do with what you activate in her nervous system. When a woman feels chemistry, it's not because you impressed her with logic. It's because something in you bypassed her thinking and went straight into her body. That's where the game is played, and most men don't even show up on that field. Let's start with a basic truth. Women get bored with predictability, not safety. Predictability. If she can read your next 3 moves, if she knows exactly when you'll call, how you'll text, what you'll say next, her body checks out. Why? Because there's no polarity, no tension, no mystery, and without those, desire dies. You want her to feel you even when she's with someone else. Learn to create an imprint, not through constant presence, but through meaningful impact. First, speak less, mean more. A single sentence that lands deep is worth more than 100 clever lines. When you look her in the eyes and say something she's never heard from a man before, something that cuts through her noise and hits her core, she won't forget that. Maybe it's brutal honesty. Maybe it's a quiet observation. Maybe it's the way you describe what you do to her without even touching her. But it has to be real, embodied. You can't fake this. She'll know. Second, pull back with purpose. After a moment of real connection, after an intense look, a bold message, a charged silence, disappear. Let the echo stretch. Let her imagination do the work. Most men smother the fire by trying to keep it burning, but it's the space that feeds the flame. When you're not there, she should feel your absence like a weight in her chest. That only happens when you left something in the room that stayed after you walked out. Third, never make her your center. You become unforgettable when she feels that you already have a life so full, so embodied, so driven, that she's entering your world, not becoming it. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means staying rooted. When you live in alignment, with purpose, with discipline, she feels that current the moment she steps near you. That current is what pulls her in, not your charm, your current. She remembers the man who made her feel herself more deeply, not the one who tried to be perfect. You want to know why some men walk into a room and women notice them instantly, even before they say a word? It's not looks. It's not height. It's not fashion. It's embodiment. It's the way they occupy space, the way they breathe, the way their body moves with zero hesitation. That kind of presence can't be faked, and that's exactly why it drives women wild. Because her body responds before her mind has a chance to analyze anything. And in that instant, she's no longer thinking, she's feeling. Most men live in their heads, overthinking, doubting, controlling every gesture. That's why their energy doesn't land. You can't attract from the neck up. She needs to feel you in your spine, in your chest, in the weight of your stillness. So start here. Slow your breathing. Most men breathe shallow, tight, nervous. But when you breathe deep into your belly, when your exhale is longer than your inhale, you send a signal. I'm safe in myself. That signal is felt. It relaxes her, opens her, draws her in, not because of what you're doing, but because of how you're being. Second, check your posture, not the stiff, forced kind. I'm talking about relaxed readiness, chest open, shoulders dropped, head up, not because you're trying to look confident, but because you're connected to your body. A disconnected man moves like he's trying to disappear. An embodied man moves like he belongs. That difference is everything. She notices how you enter a room, how you take your seat, how you touch your glass. Every gesture tells a story, and if your story is "I'm not enough," she'll feel it. But if your body says, "I know who I am," she'll respond, without even knowing why. Third, Become aware of your rhythm. Fast speech, rushed movements, constant fidgeting, all scream insecurity. But when you move slow, speak less, pause before reacting, you become magnetic, not because you're pretending to be cool, but because your nervous system is regulated. That's what her body craves, regulation, not perfection, not excitement, just grounded, anchored presence. That's the doorway to intimacy. That's the reason she'll want to be close without even understanding what's happening. Stop trying to impress her with words. Let your body speak first. Because when a woman feels that you're at home in yourself, her whole system begins to lean in. If I could give you only one thing, one final key that overrides everything else, one move that works not because it's clever, but because it's real, it would be this. Learn to hold eye contact without flinching, without performing, and without needing anything back. That's it. No trick, no line, just raw, grounded presence through your gaze. It sounds simple, but it's the most disarming, powerful, and confrontational act you can offer a woman, because in that gaze, she sees whether you're real, whether you're empty or full, whether you're faking masculinity or embodying it. Most men break eye contact too soon, not because they're weak, but because they're afraid of being seen. They look and then look away. They laugh nervously. They glance at her lips, her body, then retreat. That signals to her, he's not here, he's not present. And when she senses that, her body won't open. Not because she doesn't like you, but because she doesn't feel held. You can be charming, smart, successful, but if your gaze collapses, you vanish. But when you hold her eyes without tension, without hunger, without fear, something primal happens. Her guard drops, not because you're intense, but because your nervous system says, I can handle all of you, and I'm not going anywhere. That's rare. That's unforgettable. That's what separates boys from men, and it's a skill. You can build it. Start small. Practice with everyone. Cashiers, strangers, friends. Hold the gaze 1 second longer than usual. Not as a stare, not as a challenge, but as an invitation, a quiet anchor. Breathe while you do it. Feel your feet. Relax your jaw. Don't chase, don't pressure, just stay. The power is not in the look, it's in the stillness behind it. Now the real part, this only works if you're actually present, if you're using it to manipulate, if you're full of internal chaos, if you're hoping for a specific reaction. She'll feel that. Her body is wired to detect incongruence. The moment your gaze becomes a tactic, you lose her. But if your gaze comes from truth, from depth, she'll feel it in her chest, in her stomach, between her legs, and it'll haunt her in the best way. Here's the plus. It bypasses language, status, looks. You could be in any place, wearing anything, and still trigger massive attraction, because it's not about the packaging, it's about the signal. And your eyes are the clearest signal you have. The risk? You will be seen, fully. And if you haven't made peace with who you are, that gaze will expose your own discomfort. That's why most men can't hold it. But if you're willing to show up, even with your flaws, and still stay, then you've already won. Not just with her, but with yourself. So if there's one thing you do today, just one, let it be this. The next time you speak to a woman, hold her eyes. Stay calm, stay soft, stay rooted. Let her feel you, not your persona, not your act, you. And then, whatever happens, happens from truth. If these words shook something in you, subscribe to this channel. It means you're ready to stop chasing and start choosing. It means you're done hiding. Join the Telegram too, where the masks drop and the work begins. And if you felt seen in this video, leave a comment that says, I choose presence over performance. Let's see how many of us are finally done pretending. This is only the beginning. The rest, you live.